girls used to love B2K. Yeah, but they love Bow Wow first, so I got braids. Then I seen that Ja Rule video.
I hear the music in the wind, blowing like a flute, his favorite instrument. And I follow the song wherever it takes me, and I end up by the lake.
Up until third grade, it's like I was already speaking English. And I just learned really quick. It just became my language in school and in Spanish at home. So I was so fluent. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I can speak English and I speak Spanish.
Reading has always been a big part of my life. And I just love how much libraries give back to the community.
It's an old saying that people say, right, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
You gotta get ready.
So you know how the motto is. So that's what I was thinking. Like, let me get the master. I don't even know if I'm gonna use it. And the funny part about that is I graduated in 2010 with my master's in education administration. I didn't even get my first AP job until Everman in 2018. I never even looked for it. I didn't even, it wasn't part of it. I just knew I needed it. So when the time came, I would be ready. That preparation that you talked about.
He's so good to me. Jesus befriended me. Through my nostrils, he put the wind in me.
What's going on? What's going on, my good people? Extraordinary family. We are back for another powerful and insightful episode of Ordinary Conversation with Extraordinary People. I am your host with the most, Willie Beeman. I have an amazing guest here today. This is someone that definitely worked with us early this year during our fitness expo. I've had multiple people who are in the fitness realm. Shout out to Nadia Hannah. Shout out to my big sis, Coach Rowe, who have been on the show and graced the stage. And so without further ado, had to give introduction. She is originally from New Orleans, now proudly serving communities across Texas. Founder and lead race director of Global Race Management alongside her son. Definitely get into that. Over 14 years of experience planning and directing endurance events. Has completed 200 plus races across 18 states and 3 continents. That is crazy. I definitely want to get into that. Marathoner and passionate wellness advocate. And last but not least, she believes movement builds confidence, community, and purpose. Online community. Extraordinary family. Let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Miss Scymentress Williams.
Amazing introduction. I was like, who is that?
I gotta do you right, Miss Scymentress.
Yes, I appreciate it.
I gotta do my homework.
You did good. You did well. You did well.
So Miss Scymentress, I always like to kick off the show with our viewers and listeners, kind of allowing our guests to kind of share their upbringing, their childhood, their family dynamics, because I believe that's a part of who we are and the woman or man that we become. So take a moment to kind of share what that was like for you.
Oh, goodness. I'm named after my mom.
I saw that.
So my mom is Scymentress.
Yeah.
None of us are called Scymentress. My mom's called Sam. I'm called Mo. So,
I like that.
But obviously in a professional setting, most people call me Scymentress, but all my life I've always been called either Monique or Mo.
Gotcha.
Grew up in New Orleans, in the heart of Treme, actually, where Jazz was born. So
yes,
I grew up and lived like literally about a block and a half away from where Louis Armstrong grew up. Yes,
that's
near
cool.
Congo Square.
That's cool.
Yeah, so went to magnet school in New Orleans, McDowell 35, the best high school in New Orleans, of course. And went to Grambling for college.
Okay.
Go GSU. I thought you knew. And about 20 years ago, came to Texas to work in television. So I had worked previously in stations in New Orleans, Shreveport, Austin, and in DFW. So I worked as a producer, really rewarding work to pull it all together and see it all, be finished at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
My work as a race director is very similar, except it takes a lot longer to pull together a race than it does a newscast.
I love it. I love it. I want to go back. I don't want us to overlook this. Louis Armstrong. Did you get a chance to meet him?
No, I mean, like, no. Louis Armstrong was dead before I was born.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's
But obviously, growing up in a community where jazz is very, very rich, like I hung out with like the jazz musicians.
Gotcha.
Like my cousin is formerly married to Kermit Ruffins. Our families are still very, very close. And he's a very active and popular jazz musician in New Orleans. So my little cousins are his offspring. But yeah, like, playing with those kids, they were like just, we used to play ball in the park. And well, I was a tomboy somewhat. And now they're like famous musicians.
Wow.
And so it's really cool. Trombone Shorty. His family grew up like literally across the street from where my family still lives today.
Yeah. Wow. I'm definitely a music head as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Zydeco kind of came from New Orleans.
It's more Cajun. Yeah. So more Cajun, Lafayette, Appaloosa's that part of the city. Like we're just like, real jazz, like brass, maybe some traditional jazz as well. Like the Marcelluses does, but like the brass bands grew up and were created like in Tremé, the community where I grew up in New Orleans. And so like, the jazz funerals, like, all of those graveyards that are on top of grounds, like I grew up not that far away. So that's where, like jazz was born in that community.
Gotcha. Knowing that you grew up in New Orleans and was a part of such great culture, I still need to go visit. I haven't been there yet, but I need to visit. I know a lot of people have told me it's amazing and dope culture. So knowing that you are born and raised from there, and then you shift and move to Texas, how do both places kind of shape the person that you are today? Was it a culture shock when you guys moved here? What was that like?
Oh goodness! So I always feel like I'm extremely adaptable. I can adapt to any environment, any sort of culture. So for me, just kind of chasing my dream of working in television, the transition was very easy.
Gotcha.
In fact, I remember when we first moved to Texas, my son was about 7 years old. And he was like, Mom, can we just stay at one place for 5 years? So when a 7-year-old tells you like, hey, you need to, plant some seeds, and stay grounded in a community. Definitely it was time. And so oddly enough, my son had moved away. So I was here in Texas by myself. But my son has since moved back to Texas and is raising his family here.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Now that you are here, fast forward, how has Texas been for you now that you've kind of settled in and adapted and all those cool things? How is Texas to you now?
I love Texas. I mean, like, obviously the weather is, a little crazy.
Yes, it is.
I always talk about how there are weather, seasons extreme. Like, when it's cold, it's really cold. When it's hot, it's really hot. In the spring, when it's windy, it's really windy.
That's true.
In the fall, when it's really rainy, it's really rains. So I always call Texas weather extreme. But it's nice to have all the seasons for sure. I love that Texas is very diverse. People from all different cultures. You hear people speaking different languages, not just English and Spanish.
Right.
My background in television has allowed me to kind of meet and interact with people from different cultures. So it's important and it's always kind of good to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
The running space, also the same thing, and it's kind of weird that, you're a runner. So it doesn't matter that, you're standing right next to an award-winning plastic surgeon or, someone who does brain surgery because they're just a runner to you. They're not like, somebody who does some really important work.
Yeah.
So it's just really nice to be welcoming and accept other people. And I think that the running space has shown you that, it doesn't matter like where you come from or, what you do, running is what we have in common and let's get these miles.
Get these miles. I love it. You mentioned something earlier in regards to adaptability, being able to adapt to different cultures, being from New Orleans, moving to Texas, adapting to people here. There's a quote by the legendary Bruce Lee who says, be like water. You think about water, you put it in a pot, it becomes a pot. You put it in a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it in a jar, it becomes a jar. And so Adaptability, I think, is a skill to have no matter where you are, and especially with your background and being in television and using that as a way to produce and work with different people. And so even with that, what was that experience like, being in film and television and producing? What was that like?
Oh my goodness. So it's so odd that I always relate my experience in television to what I do now in running. Like, it's like a constant adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you show up at like 9 in the morning, and then, you know, like basically everybody in the newsroom's like, you know, okay, here are the stories that are available for today's newscast. And so as a producer, my job was just to make sure that I selected, you know, a variety of diverse stories. And I just kind of blocked out everything from, you know, like every single second until it was over, including the commercials. And so I could just remember trying to be super creative and fun, trying to keep my writing very crisp and short so I can get in as many stories as possible. And the cool thing is that, you know, like when it was all said and done, you know, like I had like this amazing package that I got to present to the community. And so I get to do that as well, you know, in my planning as a race director. It is very, you know, it's very rewarding. But I can remember the crazy days when, you know, like you have a perfect little newscast and then, you know, something blows up or there's like a big storm that's coming, and then everything you've done is now nothing, and you have to start all over. But the adrenaline rush of having like 2 hours and pulling together with a team of journalists to make sure that, you know, we get this newscast on the air as clean as possible to the viewers, not necessarily behind the scenes, because the behind the scenes could be very chaotic. But the key is that, you know, you want to present something where no one knows that something is happening behind the scenes. And so but it's, you know, it's really rewarding. Good work. And, you know, I could remember, you know, being a new journalist, you know, and there are stereotypes around, you know, like race and cultures. And I could remember wanting to have those answers. You know, like, why is it that, you know, you see this on TV instead of this? You know, why is it the person who has on, you know, like their slippers and their house coat telling the story? And I could remember a producer telling me, it was like, really? I did not realize that happened, because, to be honest, it's just a story. It's not necessarily the person who's telling the story. And so I could remember trying to be the change that I wanted to see. I could remember being very selective about, you know, whose story I got to tell. Because I wanted, you know, like I didn't want the audience to have like an opinion about who I put on TV. So it was nice to be able to be a part of that change. And so now you see a little bit of that changing. But obviously with social media and the ease of access in terms of things like podcasts and, you know, like YouTube, it is so easy to, you know, like shape exactly what you want the audience to see. And so my work, it's funny because I'm not in television anymore, but the way I stay close to television is that I'm a professor at the University of Phoenix, and I teach media and culture.
That's crazy.
Perfect for what's happening in today's times. And so we talk about agenda setting and how, you know, like basically we're somewhat, you know, like a slave to what the media and what's on YouTube and what's on social media and what's on TikTok. And so it's very relevant work, even though I always think, oh, it's, you know, like I'm not a real professor, you know, like I just talk about media and culture, but that is what our world is revolving around right now.
100%. I'm gonna keep you in my back pocket. I told you on camera, I'm getting ready to go to TCC Northeast. I have a radio, television, and film.
Good luck. Yes, you utilize your resources, because definitely that is a big part of advancing in television. You know, it's nice to know some things, but it's also nice to know some people.
Yes. Definitely gonna keep you right.
Yes, I got you for sure.
Definitely want to shift. One thing that I saw in your bio, your journey started with one walk around the block. Take us back to that moment and how that moment shaped you.
It's so odd when I talk about like my journey in general, because I could remember that I had like super bad headache, And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Like my vision was a bit blurry. And so someone was like, hey, you know, maybe you should go to the ER. So instead, because I don't like doctors, I went to urgent care. And so my blood pressure was kind of like through the roof.
Wow.
And so the lady at the urgent care was like, hey, we're going to see if we can try to get your blood pressure down. But if we can't, you're going to have to go to ER and they're going to have to do it with something else. And she was like, you know, we're going to put you on some medication to control your blood pressure. I was like, well, I don't want that. So what do I need to do? And she was like, well, you need to eat better. You need to exercise. So I was an athlete growing up. So it wasn't right. Yeah, I played volleyball pretty much since I was like 9 years old. Wow. You know, like I ran track a little bit, but then when they told me I need to run distance, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Oddly enough, I ran marathons as an adult, but my health was just kind of out of whack. I had gained some weight, you know, was probably the heaviest I had ever been. And I just kind of lost myself in my busyness. So like, you know, I knew I was gaining weight, of course. But I just didn't realize it because I was just so consumed with work, taking care of my son, you know, being in a city, a state, you know, a region where I knew absolutely no one. So I just, you know, gained weight and lost control of my health. And so she's like, you know, if you improve your diet and exercise, then maybe we could improve this without having to put you on medication. And I didn't want to. I've just never been really good at taking pills. And so I started walking and started eating right. At some point, I was almost 200 pounds. I lost like almost 50 pounds, like 52 pounds actually, to be exact.
Wow. And
so I knew that I needed, in order to keep the weight off, I knew I needed to have some sort of consistency. And so at the time I was working like in admissions at the University of Phoenix. And they did like a health initiative. You know how they say at the beginning of the year, it takes 21 days to make a habit. So everybody starts, you know, their New Year's resolution, you know, in the gym. And then if they don't stick with it for 21 days, then, you know, like the gym clears out and now the regular people can go.
Exactly.
So, so basically the challenge was to start on the 21st day. So basically it was like designed to kind of keep you going, to keep that consistency there. And so I had pledged to do 3 5Ks in the period. So basically, I think the challenge ended at the end of March. And so I did my first 5K January 31st, 2011. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow.
Because I was walking at the time. And my friend who had encouraged me to improve my health and wellness, she came with me for the 5K. And Lindsay Russell, she got a new last name. Goodwin is her new last name. But Lindsay had encouraged me to run like the first half mile. No, she said, well, let's run the first quarter mile. We ended up running the first half mile. And that was when I called myself Mo the Runner, because Mo was my nickname. Mo, that's when Mo the Runner was born.
Gotcha. I love that.
And so basically we did that 5K. And I did the Cowtown Marathon was my second 5K. And then the next day, because I was very unhappy with my time, the next day I did another 5K. It was the Carrollton Runners. I remember this like it was just yesterday. And I improved my time. I think we went from 47 minutes to 45 minutes to 42 minutes in like basically like you know, less than a 3-month period.
Yeah.
And so I was hooked. Like I was out. I did the Couch to 5K program, which is an amazing program for anyone who's looking to get started with running or walking. Basically, it's like 9 weeks and you go from the couch to a 5K. And so it has a series of realistic workouts where you run a little, walk a little in order to build up your endurance.
Yeah. I love that.
And so, so basically, I wanted my 5K time to be 30 minutes. And so I just was out there, you know, getting my workouts in. When I got my time down to 30 minutes and I did a 10K. And so I did my first 10K. It was like in July because I remember the anniversary popped up on Facebook. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I made my G baby run with me that day. And then I did my first half marathon, which was the Dallas. It was called White Rock Marathon at the time. And that December. And of course, because I was hooked, I did my first marathon in March. So I literally went from couch to marathon. And it took about a year to go that distance. But that's, kind of, it was, health scare.
Yeah.
Turned to, like, okay, let's just do something real small. And I mean, like, I walked for like 5 minutes that first day. It was literally 5 minutes.
Wow.
And I wasn't like completely like out of shape, but like, it was a power walk. And I was like, okay, next time I'm gonna do 10 minutes. I just was baby steps.
Yeah, those small habits.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Going back to your friend, knowing that you were going through this health scare, you felt like you were overweight, losing yourself. Your friend comes in the picture to encourage you to get back running and take care of yourself. How important is it to make sure that we have a healthy support system around us to push us? How is that important?
It is so important to have a good support system. I mean, I always talk about like consistency, like getting out there, obviously you have to be accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing, like for the most part, it's nice to have that support system. But if you don't have that self-accountability, then, like
true.
That consistency is not going to be there. But she literally wrote down like, I did like a low carb diet, and she wrote, like, do this, don't have this. And I mean, like, it was literally on a piece of paper that she tore out of like a notebook. Still have it to this day.
Wow.
And ever so often I revisit it when I'm gaining weight, I'm losing weight. I always look at it and say, I'm going to do low carb again. But obviously this has been more than 16 years.
Sheesh.
So obviously as a woman, like my body is different, things that worked 16 years ago doesn't work today.
Yeah.
So I'm always, looking to reinvent myself. But ultimately having that support system, it was Lindsay. I have another friend, her name is Dee, and we all work together. And so having the three of us, like we had saw Lindsay lose weight, and then Dee and I kind of like jumped in and we were supporting each other, like on our breaks. We would take a 15-minute walk, and it was like, oh, we started seeing the results. It was kind of like, oh, we can't stop. We gotta keep it going. But over the years, I've been a part of a lot of like run groups, building them and trying to sustain them, encouraging people to take that first step. And so oddly enough, I always just tell the people who were like my run captains or run leaders to always say, never cancel publicly. So if Willie and I are saying we're going to run,
right,
and Willie is my accountability buddy, but I say I'm not going, there's a good chance that Willie's not going to go because I'm not going.
That is true.
And so I always used to tell them, don't cancel publicly. You can tell people behind the scenes like, hey, I'm not going to make it. I got to be at the birth of my grandkid or something like that. But overall, I used to say, like, don't cancel publicly because that support system almost crumbles, like something happens, one person doesn't come, then before you know it, the second person doesn't come. And then a strong support system has now crumbled because one person decided to cancel publicly. So I would say, like if you're, in a group, you're running with a group of people, don't cancel publicly. I do a walk every week with called Black Girls Run at the Epic in Grand Prairie. Yeah. And, it was about me reestablishing my consistency that I still have, but just to have that community around me was really important.
Yeah.
And so I used to always tell the ladies, like, look, we're doing it no matter what, whether I'm there or not. If I'm not there, I still need you to be there because people are going to be looking for you. And so we don't cancel. I sent out a thing like, hey, we're walking or we're meeting up. I don't call it, because you can run if you want. But it's really about having that support system, looking people in the eyes, being there. And so sometimes when I'm not there, I might tell one person behind the scenes, like, hey, I'm not going to make it, but I need you to be there. And so if I'm not there, I'm like, I need y'all to be there. And that's the thing, somebody's like, well, I wasn't sure because I didn't see the post. Still be there.
Still be there.
If you're going to show up for yourself. Don't show up for Scymentress, because Scymentress is probably somewhere else still getting it in. But the point is that, when you're in groups and you rely on the group, if for some reason the group has some small fracture in it, then there's a chance that the fracture is going to get larger and larger. And then before you know it, not going to even be able to run because now you got a broken leg.
That's a great analogy. Like Mr. Mitchell says, show up for yourself. I mean, it's great to have accountability. It's great to have a team. It's great to have the right people in place. But like you said, end of the day, show up for yourself.
Yeah.
You become your own project.
Absolutely. So, in some cases I would do, if I'm leading a run, I would lead the run that's close to my house. So if someone doesn't show up, guess what? I'm right down the street from my house.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm doing a long run and I love River Legacy and no one shows up, guess what?
That's one of my favorites.
River Legacy, you can run 14 miles, even longer than that without, no problem. You get to enjoy nature out there and have beautiful trails. But I always made it convenient for myself. So if someone didn't show up, I was still getting it in.
Still getting it in.
Yes.
Woo! That's that consistency, man. Yes, going back to that initial walk that you started.
Yes, that consistency. Yeah. Consistency is the key for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely got to get into this, man. We talked about it in the bio. You've completed over 200 races in 18 states and 3 continents. What race has left the biggest impact on Scymentress, or is there multiple?
Oh goodness. So, the most impacts. I would say it's kind of interesting. At some point in my journey, I was running a lot faster than I'm running right now. And, I'm barely running because I'm recovering from a broken leg.
Gotcha.
But, I did in the same year, I was chasing like 5-hour marathon. So I needed to run less than 5 hours in order to not get swept off the course. And so my first sub 5 marathon was in Las Vegas. It was a night race. So I had never run longer than 3 miles outside at night. So I'm doing 26 miles. And I was really panicked about, am I going to get swept off the course? It's late at night. I'm going to be in a van with some people I don't know because I can't run fast enough. And I remember having a good time, it's Vegas. So I had some adult beverages the same day of the race. So who knew if I could even get through the race because I was having a good time. I had worked or did another race before. I can't really remember, but I could remember my friend picking me up from the airport at 11 o'clock at night, and the race was the next day at 4 a.m. So when we get off the plane, we're at the casino. I could remember falling asleep, pulling slots, trying to enjoy the culture of Vegas.
Yeah, of course.
And so I remember that morning we went to brunch with the Black Girls Run group. And then I remember before we went to our hotel, I went to the daiquiri shop. And then I remember saying to my friend Tiki, I remember Tiki, shout out to Tiki. And so I was like, I need a nap before I get on this course. And so she's like, okay, well, take a nap and then we're ready to rock and roll. So I remember, getting together, I had a good solid 2-hour nap, some hydration to make sure I was ready.
You gotta have it.
And at the time I was doing run walk. I was running for a minute and walking for 30 seconds. Now I had built up some significant endurance where I could run a half marathon without run walk. But I knew that I needed to sustain my energy levels, and run walk has always never let me down. So I was like, you know what? We're going to run a minute. We're going to walk for 30 seconds for these 26 miles and pray to God that we're going to make it before 5 hours.
Gotcha.
So we start off the race and I couldn't find my interval timers. I was like, oh my goodness, it wasn't on the right interval strategy. I ended up, which is so funny, I ended up running for 1 minute and 35 seconds and I walked for 20 seconds. And when I say I was flying, I was flying. So instead of doing
Mr. Mitchell, just talk about the birth of global race management and the family dynamic between you and your son.
So, Global Race Management was born in February of 2024. Hosted my first race in June. It was a flop. But I decided, I'm not going to be defined by an unsuccessful race. People showed up. I showed up for them. We had a good time. And I decided to keep it going. But in July, I broke my femur.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
And so basically my femur, it's kind of interesting. I had like osteopenia. So basically the beginning stages of osteoporosis. Mm. And so even though I look amazing, I'm a little seasoned. So
that's a word.
And I have a family history of osteoporosis. So, did not know that. But when they went to repair the bone, the femur shattered. So basically it went from being in one piece to 2 pieces to 5 pieces. And so the recovery, even up until, even this year, I'm still experiencing some pain in my femur area, just because of devastating fracture. But ultimately, I was committed to keep the train moving and still hosting my races. I had my walker out at the races. People were like, what is going on with you?
Determination.
But yes, I had my walker out there. Eventually, I was using a cane. I used to call it a Big Mama cane. And then around December, I told my orthopedic surgeon, I was like, look, I need to fire you. I need you to release me and start running. Yes, I need to fire you so I can start running again. And he released me less than 6 months after the fracture. And basically, I started running again in January of 2025. Did my first half marathon post-femur fracture in November.
Yeah.
But I hosted probably about 20 races in between that time. So I was just committed to keeping the business rolling.
Yeah.
Did a couple of accelerator programs at Dallas Comerica Business HQ to help me scale the business and to create some processes that worked to improve my efficiency. The goal was just to be able to pass the business down to my son. So I needed to be able to create some policies that he could execute.
Yeah.
And eventually give the business to his kids. And so my son is just a big supporter of me. So he understands that it's my vision. And so, sometimes when I need somebody to just support whatever it is that I need, if I say it's green, but he really knows it's red, he's going to say, okay, Mom, it's green. He's going to just do whatever it is that, that I need to feel good about, the event or what have you. So I really love that he's kind of supportive, recently he worked until 11 at night. The call time for the race was 3 in the morning. I was picking him up. And even though he was exhausted, he still came out. And, I love that his wife is, very supportive of the business, understands that, global race management will eventually be for her kids.
Yes.
And so, she doesn't want to interfere in that. And that makes sense. That's just what family businesses do.
Yeah.
Sacrifice for the greater good of the business. If it's ethical and realistic, let's make it happen.
Yeah. I love it. I want to follow up with that. How was the dynamic between being, the mother to your son compared to being a business partner with your son? How do you separate those two?
It's kind of funny because sometimes, I hate it when he calls me mom at the races because, it's like, mom. But my son's 27, and so he has a strong personality, but he has a really good work ethic. He understands, okay, it's 4 o'clock, race starts at 7. We need to be ready to rock and roll. So he understands the assignment. How people say, they understood the assignment. He understands the assignment. We're in the car, and even though we might not have a whole bunch of time to pre-plan together, but he's like, okay, what do you need me to do? And I'm like, when we first get there, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to do the other. And so 95% of the time he understands the instructions because, sometimes I'm all over the place. And he's executing, and he's like, what else do you need? And he never feels embarrassed that I call him, that he calls me mom.
Yeah.
Because he's like, listen, my mom is a rock star.
Yeah.
When he was a kid and I first started running, I'd be like, hey, look, we're going to this run in McKinney. I can't leave you at home at the house, by yourself. You need to come with me. And when we get there, you need to run. So not only, did I drag my, 12, 13-year-old kid out, like an hour away to go and run, he understood that, we were building community and that I needed his support and I needed him out there running. So now he's just kind of picked up where he left off when I first started running. He understands what the agenda is, that, he wants to support me in any way that I can. And, it's kind of funny. Recently when I fell, we were prepping for a race and I was on the phone with him and he was petrified that his mom was, incapacitated in some manner. He came and got me, made me feel good about, getting up and getting back to the start line. And so I just love that he supports me, in ways that any business partner would support, someone who's not a parent or a relative. He understands the assignment and is fully supportive of what I'm trying to do.
I love it. Gotta have great support system.
Yes, absolutely.
As we close the show, walk us through or give us your excitement on Texas Heat, what it's going to look like, people that are participating. Go and share this with us real quick.
Yeah, so Texas Heat, August 15th, Waxahachie gets in Dana Park. We have a 1 miler, a 5 miler, and a 5K. I wanted to do a distance that was a challenge, but nothing that would, bring the EMS to the race. So, if you're looking to test your speed, you can do the 1 miler. If you're looking to challenge yourself, the 5 miler will be a good challenge. A cool thing about Get to Dana Park is that it is shaded. We have a host of vendors and sponsors that'll be out there.
Yeah.
We will have DJ Cuervo as our DJ, keeping the energy high. I'm really excited about the event. It's been a couple of years since I've had this event. So it's nice to bring it back and bring it back to a new location where there's a lot of shade on the trail. Yes, so trail is about 80% shaded.
I love it.
You can still register.
Yes, like you said, you can still register. But I'm definitely excited for you, Scymentress. You definitely have a phenomenal story. The combat, the determination, the grit, the resilience, the surgery. I mean, I can relate to it. I had foot surgery in April 2023. And having to learn how to walk again was definitely a challenge for me as well. And so I'm excited, man, for where global race management is going and where it will be. But
follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, we're out there. Yes. And so I'm really excited about the future for the race.
Yes.
Company.
This is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People, and I always say that we always have an extraordinary conversation with my guests. Y'all continue to follow us on our YouTube channel, Forest Hill Library District. We can check out more content and more dope guests. I'm your host with the most, Willie Beeman. See y'all next time. Peace.